I'm starting off my career setup. So I've laid it all out. We've been meaning to do this for a while, and we're just starting off in the village. So in the village we've got an officer in the reserve section talking to his NCO, and the reserves are just a bunch of guys in the summer dress. These are really nice models from Warlord Games, all done up in their summer kit. Then we've got the village itself. This is a nice piece by Foreground. A lot of detail in these buildings. You can put figures in them. They've got working doors. Oh, apart from that one, they've got working doors, and they're really, really pretty. And I really like the way they've done the roofs, which are very authentic to what the Korean kind of peasantry had. So we've got the village is in the left of the map, and the village, as you can see, is being held by a line of Gloucesters. So there are 3 sections of Gloucesters deployed. These are all Warlord Games commandos. No one actually does figures specifically for Korea, other than this kind of summer dress guys. So these are all kind of adapted World War II stuff. So these are the Warlord plastic commandos. They're nice, but they're very old compared to what you'll see in a minute. And the newer kind of Warlord plastics, they're really quite kind of clunky with their poses and bits and pieces, but they kind of work. Here is a Vickers. Again, this is the commando Vickers gun, and then we'll just continue along the line with the next section. So 10-man section, 10-man section, 2 teams within the section, with generally an NCO with a Sten gun, number of riflemen, and then at the end of each line will be a Bren gunner and loader. So these are the 3 sections. I've mixed in amongst these now. I've got some separate heads, which were the commandos and comforters heads. So because the comforters were quite popular, I've just mixed those in with the normal berets to split them up. So there you have the village, which is the thing that needs to be held on the far left of the map. At the back of the village, we've got the Royal Ulster Rifles, mortar team. Again, these are the commando mortar teams, and I've just done them up with the green berets. They're not called berets, they've got an Irish name that I forget at the moment. So that's the reserve mortars, and there is a little anti-tank team hiding up in the roof. Before they started doing new bits and pieces, all you really had was some of the older World War II stuff. So for this Vickers team I did a while back, this is actually a Chindit Vickers team, which is why they're looking a bit ragged, but they kind of blend in quite nicely with the summer dress British infantry. So that's the left hand side of the battle map. Let's get the focus right. So there's the village. Okay, so that's all the British contingent. Now between the British contingent, we've got a beautiful Centurion by Warlord. This is an absolutely wonderful piece, and I love it because it really breaks up kind of the World War II feel of everything. So that's just kind of dominating the centre of the map, and then we move up to the Belgian hill. So really happy with these. Only just finished these. This is my Belgian United Nations contingent, and again, not a lot of people know much about Korea or the Belgian contribution, but I thought I'd kind of celebrate it today with these figures. So rather like it in Jim River, where the Belgians held Hill 194, I've given them their own hill to hold. We've got a number of troops, so it's basically a reinforced platoon, and I'll just come round, show you what they're all about. So the Belgian kit apparently was very much like ours. They were using the Denison smocks that our paratroops used in the Second World War. Just make this focus. So what I've used the Warlord, the bolt action plastic British paras, and I've done them in the brown beret rather than red beret, obviously, and this sort of perfectly suits the British United Nations Command. Again, every section would be an NCO, armed with a Sten gun, then 7 riflemen, various poses there, and then a Bren gun and a Bren loader, which I've done at the end. So that's the first section, and this is kind of the pivot. This is the hinge between the British section, with the British side of the board, and Belgian side of the board. So the Belgians have got to hold the hill 113. So we've got a section forward with the base of the hill, and another to the right of the hill, holding a little bit of woodland. Up on the hill we've got a Vickers gun team. We've got I believe it's a 2-inch mortar, and we've also got a forward observer and his radio man. Coming around to the back of the hill, we've got various support staff. So just here, got a peer team coming up, and you'll see why they're going to be needed in a minute. Good luck to them. There is a medic and a corpsman bringing a casualty down. Again, these are all just the lovely Warlord British paras I've adapted. A cheeky little fella with a flamethrower going forward, and we've got the command group, which is their officer with a radio man and his sergeant. And I've got the 3 jeeps that I've just done. So this is the British para signals jeep. Obviously just did that as a signals jeep for the Belgians. Then we've got the other 2 jeeps. Oh, one of them's just fallen over. Right, so this jeep here is a British SAS jeep. Again, because you've got like the comforters and the berets and stuff, and Denison smocks, they all just fit perfectly for my Belgian project. And this is just a general kind of supply jeep. If it'll focus. Boom. There you go. It's just a general supply jeep with a trailer, which is quite nice. So that is Hill 113, the Belgian side of the map. So you've got the Belgians there to the right, the hinge in the middle, the Brits holding the village. So let's see what they're up against. So on the left hand side, opposing the British, we've got the mighty Chinese horde. These are all specifically made for a career game, and they're lovely figures they've done. Warlock have done a right nice job on this. You can just see them going through. You've got the machine gunners, the grenadiers. So they had all these grenadiers, and they made great use of grenades in Korea, the Chinese, but they were really crappy grenades apparently. It wasn't uncommon for people to be kind of caught in a blast radius and survive. They weren't kind of a fragmentationary defensive grenade, they were an offensive exploding grenade. Don't get me wrong, I'm the one that built on the wrong side of them, but they used them a lot, but they weren't all that effective. You had the buglers, and their bugles didn't make noises like our kind of bugles. They were kind of a screechy, horrible noise. that was quite disturbing. And then a number of riflemen, and their kind of squad weapon is the Russian, I think it's a DSK, forgive me if I've got that wrong, and that would basically be the makeup of one of their sections. Now what they also had was they had a load of Russian kit. So this is a BTR 40 that they'd have got off the Russians. And just going along the line there, there's another section. And what we got there is we've got a honey tank. So this would be the Stuart, the M3, which would have been Lend-Lease kit given to the Russians by the Americans and then given to the Koreans and the Chinese to use against the Allies, which is quite ironic. There's another section here, just coming out of the woods, and then we've got their kind of medium machine gun. I forget it, DHSK possibly, yeah, something like that. And then they've got a anti-tank gun, a little anti-tank gun there, which isn't going to make a blind bit of difference to that Centurion, and it's limber. So just pulling back a bit, the idea is that's a woods like on the bend of the road, and you've got the human wave thing that they were notorious for. So there's another section behind the first, so if the first section goes down, they just get swept over by the next one, and another one in the woodland, in the woodline there. And then right at the back we got the officer, yay, and kind of your commissar fella making sure no one deserts. There's a medic in there, and just a bunch of other support staff, let's say. And then we've got a little Gaz Jeep, little Russian Jeep, sitting in the background, probably so the officer can make a swift getaway if it all goes bad for him. And then just tucked away in the woods, we've got the Chinese mortar section, which is three mortar teams who will be bringing it down onto the British side and onto the village. So moving over to the communist right, as it were, we've got the Koreans now. So the Koreans are attacking the Belgians and the Chinese are attacking the Brits. So just going along the line, we can see where the Korean line meets the Chinese line. First thing we got here is a very, very ambitious Chinese anti-tank team with like their version of kind of the boys anti-tank rifle. Again, it's not going to make a blind bit of difference against our friend over here. We then got the DHS or whatever it's called. So we've got their light machine gun basically, and a heavy medium machine gun. We've got their own mortars. They've only got one standard mortars supporting their attack, and we've got the rather gaily dressed officer and political officer. Again, the officer's just offering his men a bit of encouragement. They don't want to be turning around because they'll get shot. And same deal again. So we've got the Korean section here with a mix of rifles. A lovely flag that was really nicely done. They've done a really nice job on that. These Wall of Games figures, and that was so simple to paint. They're like the pattern sticks out. And I did that with Games Workshop contrast paints just to make it stick out a bit. And there you go. They are all the way, that's that first section, and they go up to a bloody great big IS-2. So it's a Russian heavy tank, came in right at the end of the war. And again, these were supplied to the Koreans. There was a whole load of T-34s and Su-76s were the main tanks. I've not done those yet. But there were a couple of these knocking around as well. And in fairness, they were all kind of used up in the initial advance, the initial opening stages of the war. By the time the Brits and the Belgians had all got themselves aligned along the engine. Really, the armoured thrust was gone, but this is my game, so I can do what I like with it. So we've got the IS2, and that's coming up on Hill 113, and we've got another section down here, and this is basically a machine gun or a submachine gun section, so they're all armed with submachine guns, a bit like the Russians did this, I think, in the Second World War. They'd just have guys with machine guns that was on the back of tanks, submachine guns on the back of tanks. They would just spray everything and see what happened. Right on the end they've got another light machine gun just anchoring the end of their line. They've got their own piddly little mortar team at the back here as well, which just be like a 3-inch mortar or so. And then you've got some assault engineers here. You've got a little fella here with a flamethrower, very unpleasant. Then a mixture of grenadiers for assaulting that hill, getting right thrown in. At the back of the tank they do some bailed out tank crew that I really couldn't resist. I don't know if you can see him that well. So there's a geezer with his mate who's been injured, and there's another fella who's just kind of bailed out. There's a very lonely looking Korean medic, and that makes up the Korean section for taking on the Belgians. So the battlefield as a whole then, now you know what it comprises of, is a whopping great big punch up. I've laid it out kind of in the bolt action fashion, because these sections all need to be kind of joined up and touching each other for unit cohesion. And obviously this isn't real at all. Jesus, the distances would be huge between this lot, and they'd have started shooting the crap out of each other a long time ago. But it's a game. Let's not get too caught up with realism. And that's it. So the road is a 15mm road for one of those, I think it's the Australian, the New Zealand game, the World War II game with the 15mm. I think it works perfectly for my purposes, and I'm just using that as a bit of a divider. Yeah, so all in all, great fun to set up. I'm only just playing with it. I'm not actually playing a game or doing anything with it. That'll be all for another day when people can game again and this COVID nonsense is out of the way. But it's something I've been meaning to put together for ages. And I'm really happy with how my little Korean collection is coming along now. It is a fascinating piece of history the more I read about it. And I don't know why we don't celebrate it and people that fought in it more. So get yourself involved in Korea if you can. There's loads more stuff I want to get for it. I want to get some British armour now. I want to get some Universal or Lloyd carriers for the Royal Ulster Rifles for their mortars. There's a load more communist armour I want to get. So I want to get those T-34s for definite and the Su-76s. I'd love to get a few more Centurions, but it's pointless, absolutely pointless, because you know they're going to be pretty untouchable on the battlefield anyway. But they just look so cool. And I was thinking of doing some South Koreans, which are basically just be American figures. I'm not all that bothered about doing the Americans, and I think a lot of the other countries, if you look at kind of Turkey and some of the more interesting countries, we're basically just using American kit anyway, as far as I can tell. But I shall keep looking at this fascinating bit of history, and I shall entertain myself by making as many kits and bits and pieces as I can. Oh, the other thing I'd like to do is Churchills. So there were Churchills here as well, and I know Wall will do a really nice set, say 3 Churchills. It would be quite fun. Some lorries would be nice, maybe those Bedford kind of QLDs as transport. I'm hoping Warlord will think about maybe knocking out some Gloucesters, or Northumberland Fusiliers, or a generic figure. As I say, those Commando figures, the plastics will do, but they're not perfect by any means. But they'll do it a pinch. And I know they have started, I think they now do a medium machine gun team for the summer dressed Brits, and I think they also do a mortar stand as well. Right, that's it. This is Korea in my conservatory, and I'll leave you where we came in with the officer in this lovely little Korean village. Cheers.